Hi, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another one of our webinars. Today, we're going to look at simplifying downsizing. And downsizing may not necessarily be what you might be thinking, but in this context, we actually want to talk about how to minimize your life in terms of your real estate, in terms of making that change towards having a little bit less. So, if we begin. So my name is Marissa DaCosta, and as usual, there are Realty will usually loves bringing these kinds of webinars, that are usually educational, informational, and we want to keep you on top and informed. So, in as much as downsizing can be an overwhelming experience, and many individuals might struggle where to start, my passion is helping homeowners, buyers, and renters create a living space that works best for them. So, welcome everyone. So, you're thinking, okay, it's time to move on, and you've decided to downsize, and you're likely wondering where to start. Today, we're going to take a look at the concept of downsizing and how to make the process as simple and efficient as possible. There are a lot of reasons for downsizing, such as becoming an empty nester, whereby your children are grown, they've moved out, and it's leaving your nest a little empty. The needs of the family may shift. Another reason is that you may have entered the retirement stage of your life. Don't worry, that's not as scary as it sounds. And of course, perhaps your income might have changed. So, no matter the reason for downsizing, the process is pretty much the same. Today, we'll take a look at how to get the downsizing ball rolling and how to decide what to keep and what to let go of. So, downsizing is a choice that many families may make as the needs of their family change. And what has prompted you to take on downsizing? You need to really think about that, reflect on it. Where are you in the process of downsizing? Have you already started? Now, remember, there are four major reasons for downsizing: retirement, change in income, empty nester, and there are many steps involved in downsizing your space. And while everyone will mold it to their unique needs, more often than not, most people end up going through the following steps. Firstly, you contemplate. So, really deciding on what is needed, the goals behind your transition, and how you envision going about it. And then there's sorting, and lots of sorting. And this is the stage that most people identify with downsizing, going through all the things. Then you actually have to make the move. So once planning is all set and the purge is complete, then you'll be able to say that you've efficiently downsized. And then, of course, you need to reassess again. So perhaps maybe you might have made a choice in keeping certain things within your lifestyle, but then you may find a little later on that it's not as efficient, or so you'll need to reassess again. Of course, there are many steps and plenty of half steps in between. So feel free to always go back and reassess. So if we take a look at sizing down, the first step in sizing down is figuring out how much space you'll need in your downsized home. So keep in mind that it's not about moving into the smallest possible space, but it's important that your new space, while smaller, is fully functional for your needs. So start by asking yourself these questions. Do you need a home office? Do you have frequent visitors and you need space for guests? What about your pets? Will your furry friends require a yard to call their own? Perhaps young children. Will they share a room? Do you love to entertain and need a spacious kitchen? So it's important to note that downsizing your physical space doesn't always mean downsizing your investment. So depending on the location and the amenities you need, your downsized home may save on space, but may make a bigger impact on your budget. And if we move on, so you cannot overestimate the unimportance of practically everything. And you may find a reason for keeping everything. So When downsizing, letting go of possessions is one of the most challenging tasks that individuals face. When you consider this, what comes to mind as something you expect to have the most trouble parting with? Is there anything you've bought and never used but can't let go of? Maybe you have a room dedicated to all your extras you've been dreading going through. And keep in mind that you're moving from one house to another. So buyers have more power when the purchase of their new home doesn't depend on the sale of their current home. Let me repeat that. Buyers have more power when the purchase of their new home doesn't depend on the sale of their current home. So this may mean that you sell your current home and rent another living space until you find your perfect downsized home. While this sounds like a pain, it may offer you some financial perks by not having to rush into a sale by a certain deadline or push you into taking money from other sources like your retirement savings to cover some of your buying costs. You'll also need to look at your finances to see if it's wise to pay cash for your new home or to finance. And you'll want to consider if your rate of return on investing the profit from your first house is as good as the rate of return of your new mortgage. So there are also other financial considerations to think about. If you want to take a 15-year versus a 30-year mortgage, or you want to take a mortgage with an adjustable rate. If we move on, when downsizing, make it a goal that every item that you move into your new, smaller space is something you can't live without. One way to do this is by actually stating the use for each item as well as how much value you place on it. For example, if you have kitchen appliances that you certainly use, but you can't quantify how often. Maybe it's something that you use once every 4 months. Ask yourself, if it's only used once in a while, could you live without it? And the age-old question, indeed, when you're downsizing, always ask yourself, do I need this? So once you have taken care, of the financials and you've secured your small or new space, you'll need to take a look at the belongings that you currently have. And this is where things can get tough. It's easy to become attached to things that you don't really need. You need to keep in mind that the goal of downsizing is to learn to let go of things that you can enjoy in your new space. And step one is to take a long, hard, and very honest look at how you live your daily life. Take a visual inventory of everything in your current space. Have you used it in the past year, the past 6 months, the past 3 months? And this is where it can become hard to be honest with yourself. You may have bought that treadmill sitting in a corner with the best of intentions, but it's only held clothes or boxes for the past year, like mine. Or perhaps you bought that beautiful chair that sits in the former living room that has been unused for the last year because you prefer the use of the family room instead. And these items are often the first items on your do not need list. Don't be tempted to hang on to items that represent goals that you'd set and intended to meet, but just never got around to doing. Those books you bought and intended to read but never touched. Those special dishes you wanted to use for dinner party but never got around to using. So start by letting go of these things first. Consider selling, donating, or throwing away items as necessary. And we'll talk a little bit more later about what to consider selling in just a few minutes. Small rooms or dwellings discipline the mind. Large ones weaken it. This is a quote from Leonardo da Vinci. And what it really is telling us is that clean spaces with minimal clutter allow the mind to focus and not become distracted by excess clutter. I myself can attest to that. If things around me are not neat and organized, I get confused. I don't know where to start. So most people actually feel different in organized spaces like me. Have you ever noticed this for yourself? Perhaps that's something to really think about. And with regards to furniture and downsizing, after you've bought your downsized home, measure each room or even beforehand. It may even be helpful to map out the floor plan with dimensions. Once you have an idea of the limitations of the physical space in your new home, it's time to see if the big items in your current home will fit into your new space. Once you're downsizing into a home, sorry, my apologies. Once you're downsizing into a home with less physical space, some choices may come more easily. If you're going from four bedrooms to two, for example, you can decide which bedroom sets to keep and which to donate. After all, you won't need four bed sets in your new space, right? If you have an eat-in kitchen and a formal dining room and your new space only has an eat-in kitchen, it's time to let that dining room set go. When it comes to other larger staple items like your couch, your chairs, etc., measure your current pieces and see if they fit into your new space. For some, your big move may require the purchase of new fittings or furnishings to fit your small space. And it's always advisable to sell or donate the large pieces that will not fit into your new space. It may be tempting to put these items into storage because you may not be ready to let them go, but don't fall prey to the temptation. You'll be paying for sentiment and you're defeating the purpose of spatial freedom by paying for storage for these items. And if we take a look at less being more, downsizing and minimalism go hand in hand. Minimalism has received a reputation as a fad due to the trendy on the go social media lifestyle, but that's not where it stops. Minimalism is, in fact, a strategy used to pursue and achieve a level of personal freedom. Lessening one's ties to materialistic things strengthens their value to things that money simply can't buy. In other words, holding on tight to that extra area rug to show off your wealth means nothing when you have good company to share your home with. So, going back to assessing your new home storage space, while your new home is still empty, take a close look at the storage capacity available to you. Compare the storage space with the list of belongings you currently have. There will be essentials that you move to your new home that will require storage, and give these items priority. What are your kitchen essentials? For example, pots, pans, smaller appliances all require storage space. What items can find a home in your smaller space? Are there appliances that you own that can do the job of multiple appliances, allowing you to get rid of others that you no longer need? Think about it. For example, an electric pressure cooker has multiple functions: rice cooker, veggie steamer, roaster, etc. Give this appliance a place in your new home, but sell or donate your rice cooker, veggie steamer, etc. that don't necessarily need to come along. You've got a multifunctional electric pressure cooker already. And since you're eliminating two bedroom sets, consider downsizing your bed sheets, your pillowcases, and covers as well. You won't need four linens for four bedroom sets when you only have two. Consider the closet space in your new home as well and what linens you can keep. If your new storage space, if your new home space has fewer bathrooms, consider downsizing the number of towels, washcloths, and hand towels, etc. And your linen closet is much likely to be smaller than you're used to. So take your old house and compare it to your new home, room for room, to help you decide what can stay and what needs to go. So when downsizing your home, focus on pieces that serve two purposes: function and beauty. If I ask you to share one item that you've saved or plan to save each of these categories, what comes to mind? And think, what do you value the beauty in? And the function of what particular piece of furniture or appliance, how is that valuable to you? How is that function valuable to you? So, time for the great purge if we're looking at purge for downsizing. So, first up, tackle your current storage spaces that tend to collect the most stuff. For most people, a garage or a closet or even a room, in my case, it's my laundry room, is going to be the first place to start. There are also places with the most amount of stuff that you haven't seen in years that you can likely take directly to a thrift store or a donation shop, or you can offer it up for sale. It's going to be a challenge to avoid the temptation to want to find these items space in your new home. But please resist the urge, especially when they are items that you haven't used in the past year or more. On the other hand, your holiday decorations may be something that you do take from storage into your new home. And you may find that you also need to downsize the number of decorations you have as well, as your new space may not accommodate them. Once you've tackled your storage spaces, take your current home room by room and allocate items into keep, sell, donate, and throw away piles on a daily basis. This is going to help you to tackle that quickly. And speaking of trash, there's no time like the present to clear out those junk drawers. You don't need to take balls of twines, old batteries, expired bathroom products, etc. to your new space. Make these all part of your great purge. So I really like this one. There are two ways to be rich. One is by acquiring much, and the other is by desiring little. And that was a quote from Jackie French Kohler. And as we're learning more about the art of downsizing, how does this quote make you feel? And do you agree? It's important to also organize as you go. As you narrow down your belongings to the essentials, consider how you're going to store and organize them into your new space. As you pack for your move, pack items that will be stored together in the same containers. Label the containers for what room in the new house they'll be going into. For example, pack your seasonal decorations in labeled bins with space labeled as well, such as the garage, the shed, and the spare room. Pack your linens together and label the box with the closet that they will be stored in at the new house. Do the same with your bedroom sets and bathroom essentials as well. To take your organization to the next level, pack and label your kitchen according to the cabinet drawer in the new house. For example, pots and pans, corner cabinet right side of the stove. Dinner plates, top left of the refrigerator. Baking cookware, bottom left of the stove. So at least you have a fair idea of where things are supposed to go. Helps you to be a little bit more efficient in the unpacking phase as well. Packing by room and location allows you a much smoother transition and, as I mentioned, makes unpacking a breeze. So for pictures and documents that you may have accumulating, consider digitizing them. Scanning pictures can allow you to make necessary prints as needed and can free up a large amount of storage space. Same applies to your documents. Scan and store those documents on a digital drive and shred the originals. You can always print a copy of those documents if you need them. And of course, there are some important documents that you cannot digitize, but try to narrow these items down to one filing cabinet, or roughly the space of one filing cabinet. All right. Don't let this process of letting go of things hold you back. And there is a list of ways that we can practice minimalism. And there's a famous minimalist called Joshua Fields Milburn. And of course, he co wrote this with Ryan Nicodemus. And they were talking about how practicing minimalism influenced their life. So, some of the points that they had was that it eliminated their discontent. They were able to reclaim their time. They were able to live in the moment, pursue their passions, discover their missions, experience real freedom, create more, and consume less. Focus on their health. They were able to grow as individuals. They were able to contribute beyond themselves and to rid themselves of excess stuff. And of course, discover more purpose in their lives. And if we take a look at the actual moving day, so when your big day arrives to move into your new space, resist the urge to move the smaller items and boxes in first, and instead start with your furniture. Moving in these big items first serves two purposes. One, you have the most energy for your move in the beginning, so you're less likely to run out of steam. And two, having big items in place can allow you to bring in smaller items with a clear understanding of where they will go and the ability to move them straight into one place. Remember those boxes that you packed and labeled? Bring those in next and place them in the respective rooms where the contents belong. Avoid the temptation to dump all the boxes into one room or the garage area. Bring them in, place them in their proper space, and as time allows, unpack each room one at a time. Consider what spaces you have an immediate need for first and prioritize those rooms. Bathroom, kitchen, and your bedroom are usually the first three rooms that you can get quickly squared away. So, words of wisdom for your downsizing journey. If one's life is simple, contentment has to come. Simplicity is extremely important for happiness. Having few desires, feeling satisfied with what you have is very vital. Satisfaction with just enough food, clothing, and shelter to protect yourself from the elements. And this was a quote by the Dalai Lama. So if we look at the leftovers, the simple truth is that for many individuals, it will take time to fully embrace downsizing. If you find yourself with more boxes than you have space for, consider renting perhaps some extra storage space. And as you need items that you might have put into storage, you can retrieve them and find them a place in your new home. At the end of 6 months, reassess what you can sell or donate or what may be thrown away. If you can't empty that storage space or that storage container, and in Guyana, it's more than likely the storage containers that can be rented. You can visit it in 6 months or revisit it at 12 months and make it a goal to leave it empty and turn in your key. And if you haven't had a need for those items, you more than likely never will. So look at options of either donating or selling them back or perhaps even giving them away. So we all know that downsizing your belongings is hard work, yet it's work that will bring much satisfaction for many years to come. And I hope you're ready to get started. So I want to say that that brings us to a wrap. And I want to say thank you very much for joining me today. And as usual, it's been a pleasure for me to share these ideas and tips with you. And I'm excited to see how you implement your strategies as you move towards your new downsized lifestyle. It's also my hope that you found a wealth of useful and practical information here, and hopefully it will make your transition easier and more efficient. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me for more information on how you can simplify downsizing for your family or for any of your real estate needs. You can feel free to reach out to me on 223-5555 or 640-5555 at Demerara Realty. And thanks again, everybody, for joining, and do have a wonderful day.